almost at the end, so it's time to go over everything and everyone before we close this case. As you know, we arrived at Blackmoor to help Linda on request of her mother. At Blackmoor we meet Mrs. Drake, who's the aunt of Linda's husband, Jane, who's Linda's stepdaughter, and Nigel, who was hired by Mrs. Drake to write a book about the family's history. But Nigel's not really interested in keeping his book completely truthful. He'd rather write a bestseller, but the question is, how far is he willing to go to achieve this goal? To quote him, his book so far is a total bore. Mrs. Drake, on the other hand, is the only person who really seems to fit into this house, and is very much interested in the family history and keeping up appearances. But we also learn that if Linda leaves Blackmoor, the house will go to Mrs. Drake instead of Linda and her husband. But to be fair, to scare us as we have been requires some imagination, and this Mrs. Drake just does not seem to fit the bill. Jane tells us she really enjoys her stay here.
I'm so bored.
Could she be scaring Linda and us because she's a bored teenager? We also saw her doing a secret ritual with Ethel, and when we confronted her, she flat out lied. Well, if that ain't suspicious, I don't know what is. And then there's Ethel, who we can't really speak to, but she does catch us every time we do something naughty. Is she keeping an eye on us? And why? Or did someone tell her to do that? We've also seen what is ailing Linda. Is it Linda? Uh-oh. Yeah, I know, spying is not nice, but hey, we're on a mission here. The symptoms are looking a lot like the symptoms mentioned in the book about turning into a werewolf. So is she actually becoming a werewolf, or is someone messing with her? So who do you think is behind everything? Is it our keeping up appearances Mrs. Drake with the lack of imagination? Is it Jane who's bored to death and is acting suspiciously? Or is it Nigel who wants to write a bestseller? Although we did scare him off by moving a statue, so would a scaredy pants like that be able to do all this? Who knows? And also, what is Ethel's role in all this? Is she aiding our culprit? Or does she just not like Nancy? What do you think? All in all, I feel like we are zoning in and we will solve this mystery soon. So stay tuned.